In a strange room, Alderson wakes up with no clue how he got there. The room looks like a cube, and each side has a door. Alderson opens one of the walls and looks through the short hallway to see that the next room is just the same. When he steps back, the door shuts by itself. Next, Alderson tries the door on the floor and finds another matching room. The same thing happens with the door on the other wall, so he decides to move forward. In this room, Alderson looks around before taking a step, only to be cut into small pieces by a razor-sharp net. Sometime later, Quentin changes rooms and finds one with a sleeping Worth. He tries to wake him up, but can't. Quentin then opens a wall, but finds nothing in the other room. When he turns around, Worth is finally awake. Right then, they hear a noise in the next room, and Quentin gets ready. The wall door opens, and Holloway shows up. So Quentin grabs her by the clothes and throws her on the ground. He's about to beat her up, but she screams and he sees she's another victim. So he says sorry as he lets her go. All of a sudden, they hear someone calling for help. Quentin opens a door and finds Leven in the other room. She gets ready to cross rooms, but Quentin makes her stop. After taking a quick look around, he gets into her room and helps her cross the hallway to join the others. During this, her glasses fall and break. Quentin tells the group that they can't go around climbing into spaces because there are traps, and shares that when he looked into the lower room, he almost lost his head. Holloway sees that Worth's head is bleeding and checks his wound, saying she's a doctor. Ren takes off his boots and throws one into a next room. A trap turns on right away and sets the boot on fire, so Ren figures there are motion sensors in the walls. Quentin asks if anyone recalls how they got there, but nobody does. They all were going through their normal routines only to pass out and wake up there wearing these uniforms. While hearing odd noises from above, the group talks about what to do. Leven thinks they should wait in that room for someone, but Worth thinks nobody will come for them. Most of them agree they should look for an exit. When Leven starts having a breakdown, Quentin calms her down and says he's a cop, so he promises to keep her safe. Ren throws his boot into another room and nothing happens, so they move to that one. They do this a few times as the strange machine sounds seem to be getting closer. While crossing one of the hallways, Leven sees a small sign and puts on her glasses to read it. There are numbers on it, and each room has a different sign. The group hopes this doesn't mean there are over 500 million rooms. Holloway points out that they'll only live for 3 days in these stressful conditions without food and water. Ren says he's been sucking on a button and tells her to do the same because it keeps the spit flowing. A few cubes later, Ren stops the group from entering the next room. The boot is fine, but he's seen that the air is dry in there, so he thinks there's a chemical sensor that finds hydrogen coming from the skin. He also says he knows all this because he's a sensor expert. Quentin sees that Ren is the famous bird of Attica who has run away from 7 prisons. Ren confirms it and admits he's only working with them because he may need their shoes in the future, but if they act foolish, he'll leave them behind. After a mean speech on keeping focus, Ren tests another room with the boot and crosses the hallway. He lands safely on the other side, but after a second, a device sprays acid on his face. His body shakes for a little while before he finally dies. If Ren's boot plan doesn't always work, they need to look at the whole situation again. Quentin points out he's a cop. Ren was an escape artist and Holloway is a doctor, so everyone must have a purpose here. But Leven says she's just a college student and Worth has a boring desk job. Holloway starts ranting, saying they came into their home and stripped them bare. She cries about the loss of her jewelry, and Quentin sees that they took everything except for Leven's glasses. He figures they let her have them because they expect her to be able to read and wonders if she's studying math. Leven puts her glasses on and starts reading the signs. She also recalls the numbers of every room they've gone through, which helps her see that prime numbers only show up in rooms with traps. Leven picks the only hallway with no prime number and crosses safely, proving her idea. With Leven guiding them, the group keeps moving from room to room without problems. Around 9 or 10 hours later, they're still trapped and don't feel like they've made any progress. Holloway is starting to lose her mind, so Quentin chats with her to take her mind off things. The group moves to the next room and Leven can't find the correct numbers on the walls or the floor, which means the next door is the ceiling one. Quentin climbs to open it, only for Kazan to fall on top of the group. He rests his forehead on the wall while doing some odd hand moves. Holloway sees he's autistic and promises to take care of him. More hours pass with the group going from room to room, following the numbers. They talk about ideas to explain this weird building and Holloway believes the military did it, but Quentin thinks it's some crazy rich person's fun. Holloway laughs at the idea before moving to the next room. All of a sudden, she can't breathe and Kazan starts yelling, thinking she's dying. But she just swallowed her button by mistake and is just fine. Quentin trusts Leven more, so he moves ahead only for Leven to yell at him to make him freeze. He sees he's surrounded by razor wire and jumps out of the trap right before it closes, though he still gets a cut on his leg. Kazan starts yelling again and stays in the last room, while the others join Quentin since they can barely hear anything with Kazan screaming. Quentin sends Worth to take care of the boy. Then he tells Leven and Holloway that he's unsure about Worth because he knew this room wasn't the right one. When Worth comes back with Kazan, the group decides to have a break since Leven's system can't be trusted anymore. Leven starts making a bunch of math problems, and Kazan pees in a corner. Worth is amused by everything, and Quentin calls him out for his constant bad attitude, so an argument starts. Quentin points out that if nothing really matters, then Worth could just jump into the next random room. This makes Worth finally snap and yell that there's no way out. He knows this because he was hired to design the outside of the building, but he doesn't have any other facts. Quentin doesn't believe him, but Holloway says that's how sneaky companies stay hidden. They keep each worker alone, so nobody knows too much. She starts ranting against the system and the government. But Worth thinks it's a mindless mistake that only looks like a master plan. He guesses that nobody is watching them, and it's just a forgotten project that some workers are still using just to get their paychecks. His answer is that everything is pointless, which leaves everyone feeling hopeless. When Worth mocks Quentin, the cop finally snaps and starts beating him up. Leven stops him and reminds him that they need Worth since he's the only one with any facts. Then Leven starts asking Worth questions, so he tells her the size of the cube and that there's only one door, but he doesn't know where they put it. She walks around the room to make some math problems that she compares to the size Worth shared, and in the end, she figures that there are 17,576 rooms. Thinking about this a bit more, Leven sees that the numbers are coded map points, usually used in graphs with depth. This means the numbers are like spots on a map that tell them where they are inside the cube. After a quick problem, she tells the group that there's 7 rooms from the edge. The group starts moving again, and Quentin decides Worth will always go first to check for traps. While moving through the next hallway, Leven finds some points that don't make sense because they seem to show a place outside the cube, but they're still trapped. When they finally reach the edge, they open the floor door while Kazan keeps saying the word trap. Just as he guesses, they see spikes showing up in the walls of the next room, which are turned on by sound. It seems this edge room has traps in every way, so they should go back. Quentin refuses and thinks they should cross the room anyway, or they'll never make any progress. Another argument starts, and in the end, they agree to move forward. After the group manages to explain to Kazan that he must stay quiet, Quentin lowers Worth into the room. After hearing the machine noises again, Worth opens the next door and tests it with the boot. Nothing happens, so the others start coming down too. Kazan steps on the floor door by mistake and his pants get stuck, but Holloway manages to keep him quiet and free him without making noise. Now only Quentin is left. He moves slowly while the floor door starts opening and everyone freezes when it makes a noise, but this doesn't turn on the trap. Kazan makes an excited noise and Quentin has to jump quickly into the next room, avoiding the trap at the last second. A mad Quentin starts yelling at Kazan, blaming him for putting the pack in danger. Holloway screams at Quentin too and calls out his abuse of power. A new argument begins and Quentin believes that Holloway should be thankful for the police since they protect the city. Holloway only says that this attitude is why Quentin's wife left him, so he slaps her. After Worth opens the next door, everyone is excited to find the outer shell. It's too dark to see anything and there's nothing on the walls to hold on to for climbing. Quentin decides to make a rope by tying all their jackets and pants together, saying he wants to swing across. Leven points out he's too heavy and wants to go instead since she's the lightest, but they need her to do the math. Holloway offers to go instead. While the others hold the makeshift rope, Holloway slowly climbs down the shell wall. When she reaches the end of the rope, she starts swinging to try to reach the other wall. All of a sudden, the room starts shaking and makes the group drop the rope by mistake. So Quentin quickly jumps into the hallway to grab it again. Leven and Worth grab his legs to hold him in place, and Holloway climbs back up until she's holding on to Quentin's hand. Right then, his face changes and Holloway cries out before he lets go, dropping her to her death. When Quentin goes back inside, he acts like Holloway fell by mistake. He wants to keep moving, but Leven is on the edge of a breakdown, so Worth talks him into taking a break. They decide to take a nap, and Quentin waits until everyone is asleep to steal the boot from Worth. Then he wakes Leven up and takes her to the next room. He thinks that without the others, she can focus. Things get odd when he starts talking nonsense about them being the key and touches her the wrong way, saying they're a man and a woman as the two halves of the answer. Leven right away tries to run from him, but Quentin easily catches her and tries to take her to another room. All of a sudden, Worth brings him down, letting Leven leave his arms. As Kazan also joins them, Quentin goes on another rant, saying everyone else is a spy and insulting Holloway. This makes Leven see he dropped her, so she and Worth tell him to leave alone. Quentin throws the boot at Worth's face to bring him down. Then he starts beating him up with a crazy look on his face. After, Quentin throws Worth through the floor door. To everyone's shock, he just starts laughing. The trio decides to go down and finds that they're back in the room with Ren's body, which means they've been going in circles. Quentin freaks out and asks Leven where they are, pushing her toward the numbers. Leven says she doesn't know and yells at him, pointing out that he hasn't done anything. Feeling nothing but sadness, Quentin says Worth was right. There's no way out. While Quentin cries, Worth recalls that Ren was killed in the next room. He takes a look and sees there's nothing out there, so they're back on the edge. This doesn't make sense because he recalls Ren entering a room. Quentin thinks he's wasting time and throws the boot at him, so it falls down the edge. Worth ignores him and keeps talking, pointing out that they haven't been moving in circles. It's the rooms that have been moving all along, which explains the odd machine noises and the shaking. Leven sees he's right, and they look at the signs together. They figure that the numbers are a list of all the spots that the room passes through. The room that had a point outside the cube must be the bridge to enter the cube. They didn't see the exit because it had already moved. They have to go back to that room and wait until it returns to its starting spot to leave. Leven does a bunch of math using the numbers around them and figures that the rooms will return to their starting spots in 2 more moves. Quentin wants to get moving, but there's still the matter of traps. Leven has seen that the traps are marked by the power of a prime, which is a number too big for her to solve in her head. An argument starts, but they're stopped by Kazan, who solves the first problem in just a second. It turns out he's the kind of autistic person who can do genius-level math in his mind. After Kazan gives them the answer, Quentin throws Worth into the other room without warning. No trap turns on, so they keep moving with Kazan as their guide. Quentin keeps crying about everything and doesn't move fast enough, so his head gets trapped when the door closes against his neck. Leven and Kazan rush to check the other doors while Worth uses the chance to push Quentin back and close the door. Then Worth makes Leven check the floor door and steps away, so Quentin reopens the door to join them. All of a sudden, Worth opens the floor door and Quentin falls, hitting his head hard enough to bleed. Now the trio can keep moving without his violent acts. A few cubes later, they find the edge again, and they have to move out of the way when a room slides down. It lands in front of their door, proving their idea. Leven and Worth move to the next room, but before Kazan can join them, the rooms move and he's taken away. They can hear him screaming nearby, so Worth crosses a few rooms to find him. But Kazan is scared and won't move. In the meantime, Leven steps on something painful and finds the shard that fell from her glasses, which means they're at the beginning and they should have never moved like she said. She tells the others to hurry up, so Worth promises to get Kazan tons of candy to finally talk him into moving. The trio meets up right before the room moves again. Leven checks the door, but there's nothing, so they wait for the next move. After the room shakes again, the group moves to the next one, and Kazan rushes to find the right numbers. When he opens the right door, they finally see sunlight. But Worth won't leave because he has nothing to live for and thinks the only thing outside is endless human stupidity. Leven tries to comfort him, but she's stopped when she's stabbed in the chest. Quentin is back and has used a door handle to kill her. A mad Worth tackles him and the men start fighting, but Quentin quickly stabs Worth too. The room is starting to shake, so Kazan opens the exit and leaves. Quentin tries to follow him, but Worth grabs his legs to keep him back. When the room moves, Quentin is crushed to death. Worth falls and moves to die next to Leven while Kazan walks to his freedom. Thank you for watching to the end. Please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you like this video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Thank you.